So motherfucker, here we are in a new Endgame masterclass again with a game of Magnus Carlsen because he's the best player, in-game player ever. So it's obvious that we're going to analyze many of his games. But not only in the endgame, he's one of the best player ever in the transformation of the position and choosing where to trade one pieces, where to trade another pieces. Okay, today we're going to start in this specific position of his game against Anil Dubov the last year in India. And I want that you stop the video and think this position like we always do. Okay, after I hope that you think about the position, here Magnus Carlsen selects the move Queen C3. Now, first we're going to explain a little bit the position. Of course, the black weakness was the D6 pawn, but in counter of that, black had the open E5 and active queen, and maybe the E6 weakness is not going to be enough to win the game. Look like black is so active in the E5 and with the F5 queen. For the reason, if you make a simple move like king a2, okay, first analyze that why cannot they here because queen b1 followed by queen b3 and that is so equal. And at least maybe black is pushing a little bit. If king a2 just leaving the check off on b1 to threat take on d6, just rook b6, and what happened that here the position is completely equal. And that's what Carlsen understand. Okay, the d6 pawn is weak, but black have two active pieces. So now the position is equal. So what Carlsen do? Just try to go to trade queens. And he has two ways of trade queens, or queen b2 or queen c3. The idea of the check is that if he just move, now you can take on d6, because now after queen b1, the b3 pawn is defended. But you should choose instead of play queen c3 or queen b2. The problem of queen b2 is that after black can just move the king, and after queen rook b3, he has king e1, rook e1, sorry, followed by queen f4 or queen f3, and black is winning. So you can take the d6 pawn. So for that reason, he plays queen c3 better than queen b2. Here, if king j just take here and doesn't matter the check, just you can go to b2. So here Dubov is obligated to play queen e5, and now Carlsen makes the great move. Rook takes e5, completely changing the pace of the position and changing everything, and changing the position from first he's trying to attack the weakness on d6, and now he completely changed, trying to go for a endgame with active rook. Okay, here black have two options, or recapture with the pawn or recapture with the rook. I want that you again stop the video here and think about what move you should do here in this position. Okay, I hope that you think and I hope that you choose the move rook takes e5. Wait, that move take with the pawn is a huge mistake, and especially for a grandmaster level. Uh, Rook takes e5 is an obvious move for a master level. Why? Because always in a rook endgame was better to have or in general in chess, but especially in rook endgame are better to defend with a active rook but a pawn down that have the same pawns but on passive rook. For example, after d takes rook d7. Now, white have an active position. Okay, both players have the same pawns, but the white rook is also active and is attacking the queenside pawn. For example, if rook a8, let's see the difference between the rook. The d7 rook is so active and the rook is so passive. And the black king can have an easy way to attack this and disturb this rook, because the rook can always maintain on the 7 rank. And now the white king is coming to attack the black pawns. So it's clear that here the black position is so passive and so bad. And okay, after a5, play by Dubov, rook d6, rook b8. Okay, it's slightly better for black, but again the black rook is in a defensive task and the white rook is in an offensive task. For that reason, was better just give the pawn, forget all the material, and just activate the rook. The rook, sorry, rook d6, rook e2, after rook. Because in chess, in a rook games, if you have the active rook, is used to be enough to counter a pawn down. So it's too strange to lose with an active rook and only without one pawn down. Always that your kings are more or less at the same level of activation. Of course, if the white king was on c6, it was completely lost. But here it's important that the white king is passive. and the black rook is active. For example, rook e2, king g2 trying to activate the king, rook b2, rook d3. And now, see what's the difference. Now it's the black rook who is attacking, and now it's the white rook who is defending. And the kings are both in the same rank, so the both kings are both the same active. So kings are the same. The kings are tied. The rook is better, but white have a pawn who makes, of course, white maybe slightly better, but the position is enough to equal because you only have one pawn down, but your rook is active and your kings are equal, so it's not enough to win. To win a rook game, you at least need two things, or a pawn down and an active king, or a pawn down and an active rook, or the same pawns but an active king and an active rook. So there are three important things in the pawns and games: the number of pawns, the material, the activates of the position of the rook, who rook is more active, and the position of the king, who king is more active. To win one of the same game, you should have two of these things. And in this position, white only have one, who is more material, but white haven't a better rook and white having a better king. So for that reason, this is not enough to win the position. What happened? That after t takes c5, rook d7, now it's clear that white has a more active rook, but apart, uh, normally when you have an active rook, more active rook, this helps your king to be more active. So here in this position, like can look like the white is not active on g1, but this king is going to be activated, and the black king have much more problems to activate thanks to the white active rook. That's why here the clear move was rook takes. D takes, rook d7, here e5, rook d6, rook b8, and now white should decide how to activate the king. I was playing this exactly position against my trainer, and I chose the same move like Magnus Carlsen, king g2, but I had many doubts about if king f1 was the best route or king g2. Of course, maybe this king was better to game via f1 because the square that you want to reach was d3, and via g2 you take one more tempo to reach d3. But I play king d2 because I don't like king f1 because king f8, king e2, king e7, rook d5, king e6. But okay, I just simply was that the black king is starting my rook, but here black have active, complete play. Rook b5, king d6, king d3, and now if f6, yeah, c5, and after the king moves, you can take on b6, and the king endgame are just winning. For example, king c6, just take here everything, and this endgame was. Sorry, no, here, no, was here, yes, here, king c4, and the singing was just winning. That's what I was evaluating in the position. But okay, king d2 is still winning. That's the move played by Magnus Carlsen and by me, and it's just winning king f8. And here, Magnus Carlsen select rook d5, who is a good move. I select rook d7 in my game against my trainer. Both moves are still winning, but the machines prefer king f3. Thinks that king f3 is better. Okay, king e7, just rook d5, and this is just winning. King e6, rook b5. And after king d6, c5 is winning. All the time is the idea of c5 is winning. That's the key of the position. And of course, black can try to activate, but this pawn is going to be enough to win. Okay, I want to show a little bit fast my game against my trainer. Here I play rook d7, covering the 7 rank, king 8, rook d5 again, f6, and now rook d6, covering the third rank for black, the 6th rank for me. But okay, this was always slightly better, this idea. But no, here rook d6 was the best. No, here the problem is that the king is back placed on f3, and now the position is drawn instead of being winning. Rook d6, rook c6, and now I change my mind and I decide to go to f1 because to f3 is never possible. But now change that the e4 pawn is weaker. Okay, we reach this position, and here is where I made my third mistake. I play rook b5, enter in a draw position because now we see that white have a pawn up, but the rook is active and the kings are equal, so now the position turns into a draw. But here I had a rook a8, just followed by a6, a7, and just winning the game. Okay, here instead of that I play rook b5, and I just want to show with us uh, an important moment here. After d5, again, stop the video and think what's the way to win the position with white. Okay, I hope that you find the move d4. It's a typical response in a queen side or in the king side or in a queen side when the pawns are like this. You play g4. After takes, g takes. Of course, when you're going to make that, your opponent have an extra tempo with the pawns. So you should need that your pieces are more active or something. You have something with the pieces to play that, of course, because only the pawn race is winning by black. But yeah, I win a good game here. But okay, Magnus Carlsen goes with rook d5, good move. Rook e8, and here Carlsen fails. He should go with rook b6, repeat move, and just go with the correct plan of king f3. And yes, if black activate the king, just go to b5 followed by c5. Well, that's a plan that I didn't find when I played this game, and Carlsen didn't find too. So he made king f3. The problem of king f3 is that after rook e6, now the black rook again was more or less active. Because it's not the same a fucking rook on b8, who is also bad place, than the rook on e6, who is more active than on b8. Rook e6, okay, rook b5, and here the wolf makes a decisive mistake, but it's not so clear that it was a mistake. This is not a easy position because f5 looks so natural, not allowing black white king to be activate, but this move just lost. Better was f6, king e4, king 7, and if c5 just stay here. And okay, just the machine defend the position here. Black have rook b6. The problem after f5 is that in all of this line, after c5, the e5 pawn is hanging. So the idea of f6 is just defend the e5 pawn and prepare that when white plays c5, can take, and rook b6. That's the idea of f6. Can have the move rook b6 after a possible c5. That's a hidden idea. It's not so easy to find with black. Okay, instead of that, white plays f5, who just lost the game. c5, great move by Carlsen. Take, and he takes the a5 pawn instead of the c5 pawn, so important. Why he take that is just simply to have his pawn pass. And the c5 pawn here is closer to the white king to defend the pawn. The a5 pawn is going to be farther than the white king, sorry. And if the problem is that specifically after here, yeah, rook b6 attacking this pawn, and this position looks like it's going to be a draw. So rook a5, great move to have the a4 pawn pass. Sorry, rook c6. Now okay, he played king e3, king e2 is possible too. King e3, king f7. Here again, king d3, king c2 was slightly better, but rook b5 is still winning because yes, white black cannot create counterplay in the king side. Other of the ideas of f6 is have the possibility of play g5 in some moment to create counterplay here and try to trade some pawns to create a pass pawn. But with f5 now the king side is fixed and his pawn can never broke here because jacks can be captured, and black have many troubles to create a pass pawn in the king side. That's why f5 was a mistake for these two reasons. Just for example, king e6 and just a5, king d6. That's how the game followed. Continue, sorry. King d3. He tries to create something, but he cannot make nothing. Just king here. e5 sacrificing a pawn to create a pass, but h4 and just rook b8 coming to defend the h pawn. He just take the pawn. Rook h3 and then just king b5 and h6 and just do up resign. Very, very good game of Magnus Carlsen. I really like how he played the second game, so active, and especially the moment of queen c3 to trade queens and entering the rook game. And Dubov plays so bad the move in here in this moment. Here it takes d5 is a huge mistake for a grandmaster level. So always, if you should choose between give a pawn and a active defense or a passive defense, always go for the active defense. Was better interest to defense active than defense passive. So I hope that you learn so much in this video. That's the third game in a row that I comment on Magnus Carlsen in this series, but it's why because Carlsen is a fucking legend of the endgame. So let's see in the following videos. Bye bye.